You wake up and everything seems normal. Notifications ringing, your coffee lukewarm, your mind already racing. Then that feeling, you're tired for no reason. The truth? You don't just live in homes or offices. You live in mental rooms you enter without realizing it. One room is made up of people who always agree with you. Another compares you to others until you feel small. Yet another forces you to play a role to be accepted. You call them habits, but they consume you. Jung mapped them, 7 psychological environments that slowly drain you like an invisible leak. You fall into them every day. You shrug, nod, put on a show of smiling, and meanwhile, you drift away from yourself. No dramas needed to get lost. You just need to stay there long enough. Today, you recognize them one by one and learn the emergency exit. Simple, clear, practical. Let's go. If this intro spoke to you, even just a little, give it a like. It's your, okay, I'm here. And it lets me know you want to get out of those rooms, not stay in them. Let's start with the key point. These places have no address, just routine. You enter them every day without a ticket. They're mental traps that drain your energy, clarity, and courage. It's not that you're bad. It's that the environment softens your psychological muscles like a cast. Jung understood this before social media existed. There are spaces that re-educate you to be more confused, more anxious, more dependent on others. Their trick is simple. They seem normal, even useful. But while you say, I'm just staying informed, or I'm just doing my duty, they reshape you, slowly, silently, like water eroding stone. Jung saw this clearly in 1961 with a perfectly normal patient. Good job, orderly life, no apparent drama, yet his mind was fraying. It wasn't a mystical crisis, it was mental geography. 7 environments that the man entered every day unknowingly. When we called them by name and built emergency exits, the man changed. Not in an hour, not with a magic wand, but permanently, like when you regain sensation in a dormant limb. The blood returns, then the movement returns, then you return. So here's what you'll do now. You'll see which spaces are weakening you, how to spot them in time, and the exit protocol, the serious one, not the refrigerator motivational quote. Because once you recognize the architecture of these places, you'll start seeing them everywhere, in conversations, on your feed, in offices, at family dinners, even in the way you talk to yourself. And when you see them, you can choose. That's when inertia stops ruling and you start planning again. The first and most subtle is the echo chamber. You enter and hear only confirmations. Your ideas come back clear. Your fears become shared truth. Your antipathies find a chorus. It seems reassuring, but in reality, it anesthetizes you. When no one ever contradicts you, critical thinking atrophies like an unused muscle. Jung called it collective possession. The group thinks for you, and you feel safe until you encounter something different, and then it's no longer a different idea, it's a threat. The world becomes rigid, you become rigid, and every nuance becomes a betrayal. Signs you're in the mix? You can predict what all your friends will say on any topic. Opposing opinions immediately irritate you, not intrigue you. You haven't asked yourself, what if I'm wrong, in months? You walk away from conversations without a new question, only with the feeling of being right together. The problem isn't just that you stop growing, you start shrinking. You become dependent on the crowd to feel stable. And when you're dependent on the crowd, you're vulnerable to the second trap, the one where value isn't what you feel, but where you rank. The second trap is the arena of comparison. Here, everything has a score: career, body, home, even happiness. You look at others and your brain constantly refreshes like a frozen page. Every success of others reduces you by a millimeter. It doesn't push you to improve. It trains you to find flaws in yourself, always and in any case. It's the inflation-deflation cycle. One day you feel superior, the next inferior. Never quite right.
The result? You live to surpass someone, not to conform to yourself. And when you race against ghosts, you arrive tired even if you win. Signs you're in the zone? Good news from others prickles you instead of inspiring you. You achieve a goal and immediately deflate it because someone else did more. You shape your life around what appears successful, not what nourishes you. Your peace of mind depends on your ranking. It's dangerous because it disconnects you from your values. You stop asking yourself, what do I really like? And start asking yourself, what seems right in the eyes of others? That's when you lose your bearings and confuse applause with meaning. Before we move on, a clear point about science. Toxic psychological environments keep the body on high alert. When you stay in rooms like this for a long time, the stress system goes into a loop and emotional memory jams. But the most insidious is something else. If you stay there long enough, the mind begins to recreate them on its own, even in silence. You expect criticism, even when no one is judging you. You feel inadequate, even when no one is asking you anything. It's learned helplessness. The brain learns to predict the worst and then sees it everywhere. Until you bring it to light, you call it character or destiny. It's not. It's unrecognized programming. Here we are in the third room, the performance theater. Here, authenticity doesn't buy the ticket. The right mask for the context is rewarded. You smile when you don't want to. You nod even when you don't believe. You smooth out the uncomfortable parts of yourself until nothing remains. At first, it seems like professionalism. In the long run, it's identification with the person. You mistake the costume for skin. You wake up and no longer know what you really think, what you really feel, what you really want. The audience applauds, and you go home feeling empty. Signs you're acting too much? Social interactions exhaust you instead of recharging you. You catch yourself saying yes when inside you were screaming no. You silence legitimate opinions to avoid sounding off-key. You feel like you're wearing a tight dress you can't take off. Honest thoughts seem inappropriate. By constantly censoring yourself, your inner voice turns down the volume. It doesn't disappear, but you hear it as if it's speaking from behind a closed door.
Here comes another side effect. The internal critic becomes a regimen. You replicate in your head the same rigid judgment you encountered on the outside. Every stumble becomes proof that you're not enough. And so the most dangerous thing happens. Not only do you hide the true you from others, you begin to forget it yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. It's the sum of reasonable micro-compromises that, when lined up, become self-betrayal. When you realize this, it's not too late. It's just the signal that it's time to step down from the stage. And since theater accustoms you to not asking and not showing, the path slips into the fourth room, silent suffering. Impeccable families on the outside, silent on the inside. Harmonious teams that avoid any discussion, but also any truth. Extremely polite relationships where needs are never mentioned. Here, peace is made of glass, beautiful to see, fragile to experience. You hold everything back, convinced that it's not the right thing to do. Meanwhile, the body records and accumulates, and the soul gasps for air. Signs of silent suffering: you feel alone, even among your loved ones. You've learned to manage the pain, not heal it. Asking for support seems selfish. Emotions are there, but they don't find a safe haven. Calm in relationships is suspect. A little sincerity is enough, and you fear everything will fall apart. It's not weakness, it's an unspoken rule that taught you not to disturb others. But every unspoken rule can be unlearned if you start mentioning it. And now get ready, because from forced quiet we often slide into the opposite extreme, the storm of chaos. But we'll explore this in the next piece, with practical ways to turn off the noise without turning yourself off. The fifth room is a storm of chaos. Stimulation everywhere, never silence. Filling every minute seems productive, but in reality, it's an elegant way to avoid yourself. Newspapers, feeds, chats, calls, podcasts at double speed, all useful, nothing essential. Your mind races like a browser with 20 tabs open and no page truly loading. At first, you feel informed. Then you discover that you think in fits and starts, react in fits and starts, make decisions in fits and starts. It's not preference, it's escape. From suspended plane, from postponed decisions, from the truths that knock on your door when you turn off the music. Side effect? The more noise you consume, the more noise you crave. Your nervous system adjusts to the intensity, and quiet becomes uncomfortable. As soon as silence arrives, the itch sets in. You pick up your phone, turn on something, open your emotional refrigerator hoping for a distraction. But the price is high. You lose continuity of thought. You accumulate information like train tickets without ever boarding. You find yourself full of opinions and short on understanding, tired without having concluded, saturated and empty at the same time. Signs you're in a rut. Silence makes you anxious, and you immediately look for a screen. You have ideas about everything, but you struggle to fully explain any of them. You feel busy, but in the evening, you can't say what you've really done. Slowing down doesn't relax you, it agitates you. Consuming content gives you a boost of energy, but the same hole remains afterward. The truth is simple and unpleasant. The storm keeps you away from the room you should be in, the one where you finally listen. And it is here that the path leads to the sixth room, the chamber of self-abandonment. It doesn't happen with a snap. It's a slow weaning of yourself. You say yes when you hear no. You stay where you empty yourself because, by now, you choose the safety of the known over the truth that calls you. By silencing instinct, instinct lowers its voice. You convince yourself that you have no preferences, that anything goes, that you decide, when in reality, habit, fear, and other people's expectations decide. The paradox is cruel. Society applauds this way of acting. Responsible, mature, altruistic. Translated, trained to ignore yourself. But ignoring yourself comes at a cost. You lose touch with your body's signals, with your true desires, with your sense of direction. You live on autopilot. You answer life's emails carefully, and you never write a single line of your own. Are you showing signs that you're there? You can't remember the last time you chose something just because you wanted it. When they ask you, "What do you want?" you truly freeze. You realize you're functioning, not living. This room is dangerous because it wears noble masks: duty, availability, I'll take care of it. But underneath there's a slow and steady renunciation. The world thanks you. You empty yourself. And when you empty yourself enough, the final door opens, the seventh room, the basement of the shadow. But we'll descend there with a light in hand in the next piece, so you can understand how to transform what you fear into the engine you lack. The seventh room is the shadow's basement. This is where the parts of you don't want to see end up. Old anger, frozen shame, fears labeled never think again. Every time something hurts, you push it down the stairs and lock it away. It seems orderly, but it's just darkness. The problem is that what you hide doesn't die. It trains. From down there, it pulls levers you don't understand, makes you overreact to trivial things, makes you choose people in situations that are carbon copies of what you swear you no longer want. It's not black magic, it's psychic logic. What you don't integrate commands you from the side. Yet right here lies the power you seek. Anger, when you face it, becomes a boundary. Sadness, when you acknowledge it, becomes empathy. Shame, when you tell someone worthy, becomes healing. Are these signs we're avoiding the basement? Strong reactions that surprise you, repetitive relationship scripts, harsh judgments about things that are similar to you, anxieties with no clear culprit. It doesn't take Hollywood courage. All you need is a flashlight and someone reliable waiting for you at the top of the stairs. Now that you recognize the 7 rooms, how do you get out? Not by leaping, but by taking a path. First, conscious recognition. You can't leave a place without admitting you're there. Take inventory without insulting yourself. Here, I compare myself too much. Here, I act. Here, I swallow words. This isn't a punitive process. It's turning on the light. Second, audit the environments. Review the places you frequent, even digital ones. Key question, does this space make me grow or shrink me? Third, strategic retreat. There's no point in escaping the world. You need to dilute your exposure to the rooms that hurt you. 10 minutes less of homogeneous feed, 1 less dinner with the choir, and 1 more boundary with those who release toxic substances. Fourth, conscious integration. Avoidance isn't enough. You need to create good spaces. People who kindly contradict you, contexts that reward the truth over appearances, moments of silence that aren't punishments but base camps. Sixth, shadow work. In practical terms, writing, therapy, honest dialogue, and asking uncomfortable questions with tenderness. The goal isn't to clean yourself, it's to get to know the basement residents and bring them upstairs. Seventh, regular maintenance. Toxic rooms have the charm of an old sofa, uncomfortable but familiar. They call to you every now and then. This is why the process isn't a one-time process. It's a form of hygiene, like brushing your psyche's teeth.
When you do this, something measurable happens. Leaving the echo chamber, your thinking becomes flexible again. You begin to ask questions without feeling betrayed. You seek out different perspectives. You make decisions because they make sense, not because it's just the way it's done. Leaving the arena of confrontation, true desires reappear. Goals you can't quite explain to others, but that, when you touch them, feel like home. Performance theater requires courage. It disappoints those who loved your persona. But when you stop acting, you discover that some relationships were just stage contracts. Those that remain become alive. In silent suffering, you learn emotional grammar, saying, I need it, I don't feel like it, can we talk about it? At first you tremble, then you notice the glassy piece cracking, only to be replaced by air. In the storm of chaos, you train silence like a muscle. 5 minutes of emptiness a day, which then become 10, then 15, until your brain remembers how to think continuously. In the chamber of self-abandonment, you do the most scandalous thing. Make decisions based on what's true for you. Some people turn up their noses, but suddenly you wake up with direction. In the basement of the shadow, each integrated piece removes a hook from old automatisms. Fewer projections, fewer useless outbursts, more depth. And it's not just you who changes, the ecosystem changes. In the family, new boundaries at first seem arrogant, then they become an invitation. Some people start to speak up for real, others ask for help for the first time, and you discover that sincerity doesn't destroy, it restructures. At work, you stop pleasing horizontally and start contributing vertically. Some people stiffen up, others breathe a sigh of relief. You discover that authentic leadership doesn't shout. It organizes things internally before organizing them externally. This is the ripple effect of individuation. When you stop feeding toxic patterns, you force them to evolve or lose ground. The lesson that remains is simple to say and challenging to live. These rooms will always exist and will always be seductive. The echo chamber will offer you cheap belonging. The arena of confrontation will sell you motivation. The theater will promise you approval. Silent suffering will disguise itself as peace. The storm of chaos will distract you from pain. Self-abandonment will avoid conflict. The basement will keep shame at bay until the next explosion. Mental strength isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about choosing which difficulties make you grow. The question isn't, will you encounter them? Yes. The question is, will you recognize them when you do? Will you know how to get out? And will you create spaces where your presence liberates others as well? This begins now, where you are, with the tiny choice before you. You're not the enemy of your mind. It's often the places you let it inhabit that work against you. If you can name them, half the work is already done. The other half is walking one step a day until your home is inside again. You've read this far. Respect. If you want to take something concrete away, leave a like and write which room you recognize most in your life. That way you can name it and start disempowering it. If this was helpful, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss future episodes on Jung, the shadow, and healthy boundaries. Share the video with those living in echo chambers or chaos who deserve an emergency exit. Thank you for your time, and I wish you kind clarity and practical courage. See you in the next video.